The military has found that there are certain things they can do to help soldiers get past that human reversion against killing. And what they found is that one is creating distance, both physical distance and psychological distance can make it easier to kill. And that's where particularly virtual world technologies come into this, is that you get used to shooting not just the bullseye, the enemy doesn't come at you wearing, a t-shirt with a circle on it, but actually what it's like to do a kill shot against that part of the body and doing it again and again and again. So just like the golfer who gets that swing down, your body naturally shoots that person always in the chest. That's what the training allows, that sense of repetition. The use of these gaming technologies, virtual world simulation, etc., is basically about carrying out your training and your practice and your preparation in a manner that allows you to do it again and again and again, and also with a slightly better sense of realism than you're going to be able to get with the older styles of training. It's certainly not the same as combat, but you can run people through the paces. So for example, if you're trying to teach someone how to clear a room that may or may not have insurgents there, but it could also be civilians, well, you can try and recreate that experience of this is how you do it, but these are also the mistakes that might happen. And with this virtual world technology, we can play it back and have you learn from those mistakes and do it again and again and again. So when you're having to make these decisions in a split second, you almost have like an instinct response. The same way, a golfer will hit that golf ball hundreds, if not thousands of times in preparation for when they really do go out on to play in the Masters or the like. It's the same thing for the soldiers that we're trying to recreate. They've found that the best so far are those that combine both human and digital, and that also try and appeal to all the senses, so that it's not just going into a room that's virtual reality, it's going into a room that may have virtual reality, but it also has the smell of gunpowder in the air. It may have an actual human actor in the corner, a woman that's playing a civilian mother screaming, and that you burst into that room and you've got to figure it out in a second. And maybe that digital image of the insurgent pops up, but the point is that your mind, your body is getting used to these kind of situations. It's walking through the stress again and again. Now the question in all this in terms of our new technologies is, first, doing it in the virtual world may actually lead you to do things you wouldn't do in the real world. And I remember talking with an executive at one of these military robots companies, and he asked about, what happens when we take this generation that grew up playing Grand Theft Auto and hand them the same controller and give them the control of a machine gun armed robot? Where does that lead us? Because we know there's certain things we might do in the virtual world that we wouldn't do in the real world. And it sometimes can get fuzzy between the two if you're doing it with the same controller and you're also seeing it via a screen, not face to face. But there was another broader lesson that came out of this, and it was from talking with a Special Operations Forces officer. And he was just back from Afghanistan, actually hunting down terrorists there. And he said, look, anything that makes it easier to kill is not necessarily a good thing. And I thought that was a very striking and remarkable way of putting it, because this is a guy who knows it better than any of us. He's just back from having to carry out these acts of violence in the nation's service. And he's saying, but you don't want to make it too easy. But he added something else, and he said, look, where we're headed scares the out of me, but it's inevitable.